Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Champions of Wellness podcast brought to you by Healing Your Way. And before we start, like always, please check out all of our socials. It's going to be at Healing Your Way. We are here on Rumble, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So please check us out on all of those platforms. And today we have a very, very important episode for you guys, and it is going to be on how to breathe.
Yeah, and people might be wondering why we want to show you this, but like as people go through their day-to-day lives, they don't know even just how to breathe, something that's so simple in our life and I think it's a very important thing that we're missing in terms of energy. We can have more energy if we know how to breathe, and we can know when to use certain breathing techniques. Say if you're a little more stressed or if you want to tone down a little bit. So we're just going to give you kind of like a rundown of things and what you should be doing to improve the way you breathe and how you breathe in the future.
Yeah, so the most common thing that can be seen today as far as breathing is actually over breathing. So what is happening is we're taking in too much oxygen via more breaths, and we are not being saturated enough with carbon dioxide. So we're constantly taking more breaths instead of less breaths that should be quality breaths. And one might think of this like counterintuitively. They would think, oh, I'm taking in more breaths, so that's delivering more oxygen. But they don't really realize that the delivery of the oxygen might not be far enough to reach the tissues if they are taking these numerous amounts of shallow breaths. And what you really want to do is be taking in less breaths, but you want them to be very quality breaths. So you want to probably shoot for around 8 breaths per minute. That is like a normal range. And I'm sure most people are much, much more above that. And there are a lot of other factors that go into what makes a good breath as well. Like if you are breathing through your mouth or if you're breathing through your nose, that in itself has a significant impact on how the oxygen is being delivered into your tissues and into the cells of your tissues. So,
Yeah. And so you guys know like kind of a visual of how people might breathe that we're talking about. You should breathe about 6 to 8 breaths per minute. You should kind of think of it that way. And I think the right way to breathe is like San said, very slowly, but you don't want to breathe too much or too little. So kind of find the sweet spot in between, and 6 to 8 breaths is where you should try to aim for. And so this is a San, you want to show them like what somebody breathing a little too much and a little too fast will look like?
yeah, so this is like a simple check you can do to make sure that you're performing diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing through your diaphragm muscle, which is kind of below the rib cage and at the top part of your abdomen, right here. And what you just want to do is take your hand, place it on your stomach, and place your other hand on your chest. And you should be taking in a breath. Take in a couple breaths. And if you feel that this top hand is moving forward, then you are not performing optimal diaphragmatic breathing. Your bottom hand on your stomach is the only one that should be moving when you are breathing through your diaphragm. And what a lot of people think of when someone says take a deep breath or breathe, they think that they want to fill up their chest cavity. So they will do something like this. And what is kind of wrong about that is that you're not getting oxygen delivery to the bottom portion of your lung. And that is much, much more important than oxygen delivery to the top of your lungs because gas exchange occurs 7 times greater in the bottom portion of your lungs compared to the top. So you're missing out on a great deal of gas exchange when you are only expanding the thoracic region of your body
And
instead of
also,
the abdominal region.
when you're taking the deep breath, with your hands placed on your stomach and your chest, notice that when you take the deep breath in, your belly expands a little bit. So you're gonna want to kind of take a slow deep breath and let your belly explode in like fill up with air like a balloon kind of. Don't do it too much to where it's like too fast and where your belly fills up like all of a sudden. You want to make sure it goes like kind of like this, very slowly and very very calm. And you kind of will get the rhythm of it if you practice and think about it on your day to day. If you're doing work at a desk to kind of calm you down, if you're a little stressed about things, make sure you keeping this in mind.
Yeah, and another thing to note, as far as why overbreathing happens, it's because through environmental changes, changes to the diet, and all of these modern advancements that have been made in our society, these things that have now been introduced are actually um, having a harmful effect on our breathing and is decreasing our tolerance for CO2. And you actually need a good tolerance for CO2 in order to have oxygen be delivered to the tissues. And a lot of people are kind of in a middle ground state between normal breathing and hypoxia. Hypoxia is when oxygen is really not being sufficiently delivered to the tissues. They most people kind of live in this state of pseudopoxia, where they're in a form of suboptimal breathing. So they're able to breathe enough to survive and fulfill their basic needs, but they are not breathing up to the potential that their body has the capability to. And this is something that I think anyone can focus on or become aware of and fix immediately. Um,
And
and
also, yeah, without breathing correctly, you might be thinking that I'm taking in this deep breath, and you might think all the oxygen is going in your body, and you're going to be able to produce energy using that oxygen. But all your oxygen that you're breathing in is not going to be optimized at all if you're not breathing the correct way.
yeah, and if you think about it on a biological level, uh, if there's not enough CO2, hemoglobin is not able to effectively transfer oxygen or carry it to the tissues as well. So you're kind of slowing down your engine and your energy. And if your breathing is not correct, you can start to see that show up in many different areas of your life and in your body. Um, Take, for example, the skin. If your complexion is not the best and you're very acne prone and you have a lot of hyperpigmentation or just skin issues in general, breathing could be one of the main culprits of it, because breathing is very life giving and oxygen is very life giving. So if you don't have that sufficient life giving energy, then how is your body going to have energy to maintain things like hair, nails, and skin? These outer features are not necessarily super essential for living. Your body is going to use its energy where it needs it much more, like your vital organs. So when your body is deprived of the energy and oxygen that it needs, you're going to see a lot of the energy focused onto those vital organs, and then neglecting some of the organs that may not be necessary for life, and that can take a little bit of damage, like the skin, like the hair, like the nails. And if you have any of these issues, um, trying to fix your breathing and being aware of if it is suboptimal or not is a really good clue and a key to improve it.
And if you don't know if you're having issues with breathing or being able to utilize your oxygen, you can just tell if you have cold hands or cold feet. A lot of people that have POTS or are iron deficient have cold hand and cold feet because a lot of the oxygen in their blood is not being transported throughout their body. So, and if you're iron deficient, you need to be able to be taking or supplementing iron so that because it's a major component of hemoglobin, which San said is able to transport the oxygen from your lungs to the tissues in your body. So you need to be optimized with your iron as well as copper as well, which is part of what helps iron be able to do its thing, as well as vitamin C, which will help with transporting the oxygen.
Yeah, and um, try to see the relationship between oxygen and CO2 um, as equal. CO2, even though seen as a byproduct, is actually just as important as oxygen, and neither one is quote unquote better than the other. Both are needed for this process, and if both are not at adequate levels, then the process and your breathing is going to falter. You need to have adequate amounts of CO2, and you need to be able to tolerate adequate amounts of CO2, and you need to be able to take in adequate amounts of oxygen. But you're not going to be able to if your CO2 tolerance has been compromised from things like overbreathing, mouth breathing, and so on. So fixing that is going to change everything. And I like to see, I like for you to think of breathing in conjunction with your mitochondria. So everyone knows and has probably been taught that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And the electron transport chain is a part of the mitochondria where cellular respiration happens.
Yeah, and this
And
is all happening inside of a cell. All the cells in our body, for those who don't are not aware, but have a mitochondria inside, which is the thing that's producing the ATP for energy, and we need to be able to be utilizing oxygen correctly. And also, I wanted to add that that people see kind of carbon dioxide as kind of like a waste product where we're breathing it out, and as we're growing up, they tell us that oxygen is something that we need and we're living off of. But there's also carbon dioxide as well. We need both to be able to survive.
yeah, and yeah, definitely, I agree. And yeah, like Joshin said, mitochondria are in all of the cells that we have in our body right now, and they are pretty much the machines, our energy systems that are running and keeping us alive and going and energetic, and are providing energy for all of the important organs, tissues, and whatnot in your body. So if you're not optimizing your mitochondria, you're leaving your pretty much your engine at stake. And the better you can fix and maintain your engine, the better your health markers are going to be, the better you're going to feel, and the better you're going to be able to go into life and live a healthy, fulfilling life. But you can't do that if your breathing is suboptimal. And what suboptimal breathing does to the mitochondria is it makes the electrons move much slower, and your engine pretty much is moving much slower. And this is going to get a little bit into the science. So we have an electron transport chain, which has is you can just imagine on an imaginary line right here. And then we have these complexes where electrons are moving through. And the important part is that the faster the electrons, or more efficiently the electrons are moving throughout the complexes, the better your energy production is going to be. And when breathing is suboptimal, electrons get stuck and are not moving through the electron transport chain fast enough. And since the mitochondria is literally the engine and power unit of the cell, if the mitochondria fails, then that actually signals death of the entire cell. So if death happens to the mitochondria, then death will also happen to the entire cell as well. So pretty much it's critical for survival of your cell. And if you're having this going on, you are damaging your cells and your tissues pretty much. And going back to a little bit before, with the topic of oxygen, in this process, oxygen is the final acceptor of these electrons. And so these are
I
like
just wanted to give you guys a visual of mitochondria. This is mitochondria inside of the cell, and this is what San's talking about. Inside of the space inside of the mitochondria, there's an electron transport chain. So yeah, this is just a visual, so San can kind of talk about it here.
Yeah, so you have the membrane in the middle, and then you have the complexes 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can just see the H plus. That's that's the proton, but we have electrons moving in and throughout, and some of the paths are shown here. And if you look on the very right, right under the fourth complex, you can see the formation of water. And the formation of water happens because oxygen is the final acceptor in this whole process. And once oxygen accepts those two electrons, then we get water. And another thing to note that is super important and that a lot of people don't know is that when we're breathing suboptimally, we are also losing our ability to create water as a result of cellular respiration. So we're not making enough water as well. And we did a water podcast, and as you know, water is super, super critical for the function of energy, of everything, because it's our main energy storage in the body. We talked a little bit about, or not a little bit, we talked a lot about the exclusion zone and some of the work from Gerald Pollack. And that whole system that we explained with water cannot function optimally if we are not able to create enough water as a result of cellular respiration.
And also with the absence of oxygen, so oxygen at the end of the electron transport chain is stopping this whole process where electrons are flowing through it. And if there's not oxygen to stop it, there's going to be a bunch of free radicals as well as energy flowing throughout our body, which can cause a lot of stress and a lot of the sympathetic nervous system being activated. So you can imagine inside your body, there's a lot of signals going on, but you're not able to kind of relax and be able to address those signals.
Yeah, and the other thing with CO2 is that it's a vasodilator, and a vasodilator is you can think of blood thinner medications. That's also a vasodilator. They are given for patients who have are prone to getting blood clots, and the reason is so they have increased blood flow to um, prevent clotting from happening. Same thing with this case. The reason we want vasodilation is so that we have increased oxygen, increased blood flow, which will increase the oxygen delivery to our tissues. And once we have the increased oxygen delivery to our tissues, in all of our cells, we are able to now make sufficient water that can be used for energy storage. And yeah, this is a really good picture, and I know most pre-med majors or health science majors, and even you've probably seen this in high school biology as well. This is a super fundamental process, and if we are not maximizing our outputs with this process, we are leaving our health on the table pretty much. And that's why, like I said before, you see all of these unhealthy things start to occur, like flaws with the skin, flaws with the hair, energy levels going down, and a bunch of just unfortunate things. And that's why it's important to bring awareness to the breath. And a lot of practices in India have taught to focus on the breath as well. We did a class, I think when I was 16. It was called Vasi breathing, and the guru that was teaching this actually held a similar belief system as far as how to breathe and what to do as far as breathing exercises. He taught that less breathing is much more optimal, and that the exhale is actually what brings us closer to the source and gives us energy and gives us life. And on our exhale, when we are releasing CO2 before we release oxygen, that is one of the most critical parts of the breath. And what you want to do is have kind of a normal inhale, but emphasize the exhale. And I can go in many different directions from here, but there's many different breathing exercises as well that are available online, and breathing practices. But I encourage you to pick a breathing exercise that is training oxygen deprivation. So you are pretty much building up your carbon dioxide tolerance. Like I said, carbon dioxide, the presence of carbon dioxide and your carbon dioxide tolerance is going to be one of the key factors in how much oxygen you can get delivered to all the areas it needs to be.
And to emphasize the exhalation, you can even think about breathing in and do the inhalation for 4 seconds. Like I said, remember breathing in through your stomach and making sure your chest doesn't go up, and doing that for 4 seconds, and then exhaling for another 6 to 8 seconds. So you're making sure you're exhaling for a little longer, and getting the emphasis on the breathing out. And we also have a comment from a chat. My doctor said I'm anemic. L doctor W stream though. That's from Vichet. Thank you. Yeah, W stream. I mean, we're gonna be coming out with streams like this all the time. Like, if everybody wants to go over breathing, we can talk about it. Yeah, pretty frequently.
Yeah, if you are anemic, then definitely incorporating the breathing techniques that we're about to talk about can definitely help you out, since you're at that genetic predisposition. So, as far as breathing techniques that are online or available online, for you to maybe look at and practice. Dr. Konstantin Butaiko um, uh, made some really successful findings um, regarding what he implemented with his patients. And funnily enough, when we did a podcast on figuring out Friday, where we all did different breathing techniques, and I think Alex and Prithvi did the Butaiko breathing method. Um, the one we did with their session was a little intense, but what I would recommend if you are unhealthy and you have very suboptimal breathing and you are over breathing, I would recommend that you start with something called light air hunger. Light air hunger is something that should be not too straining on your body. So when you're doing it, your abdomen and your diaphragm is not tensing up too much. It should be something that's done relatively comfortably with a little bit of stress, tolerable stress. And you can do this pretty much throughout the duration of the entire day compared to something or some of the practices that are a little more intense from Butaiko. But light air hunger is pretty much again, I know I sound very repetitive at this point, but building up your CO2 tolerance. And the way we do this is by inhaling less oxygen. So it's pretty straightforward. But the best way you can go about doing this is take an inhale, but don't breathe in to your full capacity. Cut that a little bit short. And then with the exhale, you're going to do a long and slow exhale. So you're going to say this is my kind of capacity for how much oxygen I can take in. I'm going to breathe maybe up to there and then exhale very slowly. And the thing with the exhale is that that's going to, or the slow exhale especially, that's going to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. So it's going to make you much more calm and much more collected. And it's going to make the process much easier for you. If you're struggling, you can start very light. You can just take take out a little bit less air at the beginning. So sorry, that's probably wasn't explained the best way. But what you can do is you can say this is my capacity again. I can breathe in up until here. See, I have that little gap left to go, but it's not much. And then slowly, I can start to try out, oh, let me just breathe in this much and then exhale. Let me breathe in this much and then exhale. Just working up your CO2 tolerance. And you can pretty much take it as slow or as fast as you would like. But the number one thing is that you're doing it at a manageable and at a comfortable rate.
Yeah, and you can also use the breathing at any time of the day. Like, for example, later in the day, I needed to go to sleep. It was around 9 to 10 p.m. and I had to wake up early for a class, but I felt all jittery and kind of out of focus with my relaxed state. And I started taking those breaths, but I was focusing on the exhalation and taking slow breaths and you don't want to take breaths where it's kind of loud and noisy. You want to take breaths where it's quiet, where your breathing doesn't make a noise. That's how you know you're breathing correctly. And I was doing it for a couple minutes, and all of a sudden I was in a relaxed state and I was a little more tired and wanting to go to sleep. So if somebody wants to wind down, they don't even have to read a book. They can just take a deep breaths, not deep breaths, but slower breaths and more quiet breaths for about 10 to 15 minutes, and they'll be sleepy right away.
And make sure when you're doing this light air hunger method that you're doing nasal breathing, not mouth breathing, because you're going to lose um, uh, much more water through mouth breathing compared to nose breathing. Um, and that goes back to what I was explaining with the water production when Joshin had that diagram pulled up. But just know that nasal breathing is much better for maintaining that water, and you're going to lose a lot more if you breathe out through your mouth. Also, what was I going to say?
And also,
Um,
breathing in communicates with your sympathetic nervous system, and breathing out communicates with your parasympathetic nervous system, which is for rest and relax. So it's activating the vagus nerve and when you're exhalation. So you kind of want to imagine if you want to relax, you should emphasize the exhale more, just to give you an idea of what's good and what's not.
yeah, and the slowness of the exhale is it's what's going to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's why when a lot of people practice meditation, uh, they find that they are able to circle back to more optimal breathing through the nose, and also using their diaphragm as well. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Make sure you're breathing through the nose and that you're performing belly breathing. I think that's a much more simple term than diaphragmatic breathing. So
Yeah.
we'll just go with that. That you're belly breathing and that you're breathing through your nose.
Yeah, and also, you guys probably seen this trend on TikTok and everywhere. All the people that do looks maxing, they talk about mouth tape. Mouth tape, when you're sleeping, is actually a good way to increase your breathing through your nose instead of your mouth, and you're going to be able to raise that CO2 tolerance and get back to where you need to be.
Yeah, and the other thing with the looks maxing as well is that they recommend proper tongue posture and or AKA mewing. And I know a lot of people have heard of mewing, but it's pretty much just proper tongue posture. And when you have proper tongue posture with your tongue laying on the roof of your mouth, then you're able to nasal breathe much better and much more effectively. So incorporating or being conscious about that as well is going to be of great benefit to you.
And we also have a question from the chat. Are you saying that the inhalation and exhalation have to be complete? So the CO2 has to be exhaled completely in order to take in more oxygen.
So the exhalation has to be complete, but the inhalation has to be incomplete. So, like I said, we're training your CO2 tolerance. So how how much CO2 you are able to handle with your breathing. So to increase our CO2 tolerance and have more CO2 be present in our system, we need to decrease the inhalation and increase the exhalation. So breathing in less, more of a half breath or something around there. Like I said, whatever is comfortable for you, and then a full exhalation. So we're taking in less oxygen and we're making a full exhale. If that
And
makes sense.
also be mindful that if you're jumping into this exercise right away where you're practicing your breathing, you don't want to just cut out your oxygen and breathing in right away, like to where San's saying. If you're having trouble and you're noticing you're having trouble breathing with the practice, maybe tone it down a little. You'll be able to breathe in a little more and then work it down as you go. So don't just jump into it without practicing your limits and knowing what you can and can't do.
And in my notes here, there's actually one simple way to kind of test your CO2 tolerance to see if it's good or not. Um, so what you want to do is you want to be in a fasted state without having done any vigorous exercise. So this would probably be more preferably done in the morning. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sit relaxed and breathe normally as you would have or as you are doing. No increased inhalations or exhalations, just purely normal breath. And then at the end point of your exhale, again, this is normal breathing. At the end point of your exhale of normal breathing, you're then gonna hold and start counting. And the number you want to shoot around, or that is gonna show healthy breathing, is gonna be 40 seconds. So you're gonna exhale, hold, and if you can get 40 seconds, then you're in a pretty good spot. But I find
Yeah, how about we test it right now? See how you know how we're doing with that. Okay, we'll take a deep breath.
no, it's
Okay.
normal breathing.
Oh, normal breathing. Okay.
I think I got around 30.
Yeah,
The
I got
other
cut short a little bit too.
the other thing I forgot to mention, and Joshin, I don't know if you did this when you were doing it. You don't actually want to push the limits. You want to go until you feel that you need to take in a breath. So you don't want to go
when practicing, right?
No. When you're doing this test.
Oh, okay.
So
So once you
when
feel
you-
the need to breathe in.
yeah, once you feel the need to breathe air, that's when your timer stops. So of course you can probably like try to thug it out and go until your diaphragm and your abdomen are super tight, but that's not really accurate because now you're forcing it at that point. It has to be when you physically feel like you need another breath. And once you have that feeling, that's when your countdown or that's when your count stops. And I bet a lot of people are going to find that they are much or very shy of that 40 seconds. Some people might get 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I counted 30. Joshin,
I
do you
counted
think
around 30. I think maybe a little bit less because I was kind of pushing it a little bit. So I do think that I need to kind of focus on my breathing and build up that tolerance to CO2. And I think like I notice in some moments where I can be a little more calmer or less stressed. So it could be a sign that I need to be able to breathe correctly. So if you're not at 40 seconds, like San said, it's something that you should be mindful of.
Yeah, and again, if your health is not at the best right now, I would suggest just going with the light air hunger method, not pushing it beyond that. If you're an athlete and your breathing is very good and you want to kind of push it a bit to make it even better than normal standards, then that's when you would incorporate more moderate to intense training. But those intense training shouldn't be done for more than 20 minutes because you might see um, uh, negative effects because of overtraining. And your number for this test, and by the way, this test is called the control pause test. And the thing with that is if you are overtraining, you might actually see your numbers going down because your breathing muscles are very, very exhausted. So you don't want to go or push to that point, especially for a super extended amount of time. So that pretty much just leaves like light air hunger as the best form of this training to do.
And you could even be having perfectly fine breathing, and you might notice that your energy is not uh, being at its peak where it should be, and it could be that you're iron deficient. So I think take everybody should take a blood test if you can take a blood test, see what you're deficient in. It could be copper, it could be iron, it could be vitamin D, it could be anything that you need to be fixing now, and it will help in the long run. Like I'm iron deficient, and I took some. I've been supplementing iron recently every day with vitamin C for absorption, and I've noticed in my workouts that I have a lot more energy than I used to before. So that's one of the things that kind of helped me along the way. And you could utilize your breathing a lot more with the more energy you have. And another example is kind of you see those athletes in a high stress situation, like a boxer. He has to go in the ring. All these people are cheering. All these people are putting a lot of pressure on you, and you would imagine that person is very stimulated and it's probably their breathing might be going through their heart rate might be going through the roof. Yet they're able to stay calm and focus in the moment, and that's because their breathing has been regulated and they focus on breathing to where they're able to stay calm in such a high stress situation. So I think if anybody just focuses on practicing breathing, we can all get to that point.
Yeah, and use it as a tool um, that is on hand at all times because it really takes um, just like seconds to be able to get some good benefits out of breathing. And another thing that actually happened to me today while I was trying to incorporate the light air hunger training. Actually, uh, I saw better digestion, and one of the things with CO2 being present is that it increased digestion and gut motility. And uh, actually, yesterday I had maybe not the best meal. It was kind of a cheat day, and we had a little
Chili's
bit
triple.
of yeah, we had
Yeah,
Chili's triple dipper.
yeah.
So that definitely is not a very good choice for the stomach. And I was experiencing a little bit of blockage, but after just doing, I don't know, probably like 5 minutes, I felt the need to use the bathroom like almost immediately, and I
Oh,
was
so
like
you tried that today.
yeah, I tried it
Okay.
today, and
Mhm.
that blockage cleared up yeah, within a matter of minutes, and I was so surprised um, because I saw I saw the and read about uh, the benefits of the increased CO2 tolerance and how it can improve digestion. Then I actually did it and then saw the benefits right away for that.
Yeah, like yesterday I really felt kind of bloated towards the end of the day. My stomach's not used to like eating like that all the time, you know, because we usually try to make sure we get nutritious food. But yesterday, you know, it's a cheat day, and yeah, I think since San tried it, I want to try out once I get bloated again. If in the future I might have a cheat meal.
Yeah,
Uh,
don't I guess don't never try
Yeah,
to plan to get bloated
don't
again, but just
plan to get bloated, but just in case, like you always have to have some safety measures. So if I do feel a little sick to my stomach, I'll try to utilize my breathing, and something so simple that we're kind of missing. Like a lot of people that have stomach issues just go straight away to the doctor, but it might be something so simple as breathing that we're missing, and that's something that we can just incorporate into our daily life for just a couple of minutes where we can rest our stomach. And maybe even doing that breathing while you're laying on your left side, which is better for digestion, might work as well.
and yeah, um, other things to note besides uh, things like nasal breathing and tongue posture and diaphragmatic breathing is also posture. Being upright is gonna give your diaphragm a lot better room and capacity to expand. So you want to be making sure that you're in an upright posture, because when you're in this very slouched position, you're really limiting the expansion of your belly. And you can even try it now. You can try to sit hunched over and try to take in a deep breath and see how restricted you feel. So
Yeah, yeah, I do feel.
when you're sitting, every day in the classroom or at work, just be aware of your posture and try to fix that, because that could also be another limiting factor of your breathing.
What about like say if somebody's laying down flat on their back or like flat on the side, like not hunched up? Do you think that like that will work as well, or just sitting straight up?
The reason I said sitting straight up is just because for everyday purposes, if you're laying flat on your back or laying on your side, your breathing is not going to be uh, compromised. Only really when you're hunched over forward is where you're going to be restricting uh, your lungs a lot
Mhm.
as far as breathing. And what was I about to say? Uh, you can also train light air hunger while you're doing exercise as well. So if you want to increase the intensity a bit, you can go for a walk and then do the light air hunger practice that we just said, and try to increase um, your CO2 tolerance that way as well. Actually, I think that's um, a much more effective way than just practicing it seated or in a relaxed position, because you have that added stress, your cardiovascular system working at the same time. And it could be through a walk or a light jog. I wouldn't really go above that. And I don't know if you could really, I don't think you could even really sustain anything um, above that, above a walk or a light jog, because it's just going to be too tiring and intense at that point, and you might be lightheaded if you're going for like a full sprint and applying the light air hunger technique.
Yeah, yeah, I think I would recommend just taking a little stroll, down the street, just to practice that method. You don't want to be sprinting because if you're breathing in through your nose and you're not ready for an intense type of training, it's going to be a little too much for you. But I've noticed even when I have our kickboxing training, I notice I'm able to breathe a lot better after. And I think exercise is actually a better way to kind of train your breathing and making sure you're breathing the right way. So also making sure you're not breathing through your mouth at all. Yeah, that's why they always say mouth breathers. Mouth breathers are is kind of a bad thing to do too.
Yeah, because you're messing with your cognitive function uh, at that point as well. And I guess people who are not able to perform very well in school, quite often they're mouth breathers. Or
Yeah,
actually, let's say
people
this.
call them mouth breathers. Yeah.
Yeah, mouth breathers. Yeah, it's like a general term because there's actually a lot of things that can go wrong with mouth breathing, especially during development. Um, the way your facial bones advance and develop when you're going through a developmental stage like puberty is really going to be reliant on how good your breathing practices are and how good your tongue posture and all of the other factors that we talked to you about. And if you want to have, I guess, a better looking face, then and if you're in that younger age range, you should be incorporating all of the techniques and proper breathing techniques that we've listed for you here today. And even if you're older, this all of these practices that we um, talked about on this episode today can still help you out very much in all of the other aspects,
Yeah, maybe we
like the
can.
gut and like the your energy levels, like the skin, like the hair, like everything, pretty much.
Yeah, maybe we can even like invite a looks maxing community, one of the members of the that community, like here and talk about like the benefits of the mouth tape or certain things they do to kind of like overall better your looks as well as your body. Because I think it's important the way they talk about regular exercise as well as breathing correctly. Like we're saying, it's very crucial.
Yeah, because no one's been told this, um, or no one's been told how things should be. They've pretty much just accepted um, uh, the way they've been living and breathing um, uh, ever since the beginning of their life. They've never looked to see that, oh, I'm not doing this correctly, or oh, it should be done this way. They all of the environmental changes that have happened have made everything just worse and worse, and that's why we see this chronic disease epidemic and lots of other issues arise, especially gut issues, is because we can't even get something as basic as breathing correct. And that's just a huge flaw. And if we can fix our breathing, then that's the gateway to maybe solving some of uh, our health issues. Although it might not be the full answer, at least you're able to take a big chunk out of whatever the problem is in your life.
Yeah, and if you notice, a lot of people that do get tired, are usually the ones that are like after exercise, they're like that. So you could tell that mouth breathing is not a good part of what you should be doing with exercise or even throughout your day because it's going to make you even just not lose energy. You might be thinking if I'm taking deep breaths, it's going to help a lot, but that's another example. Yeah, you just imagine people that breathe through their mouth are a little less tired than others.
Yeah, and I think I covered everything on my part. Oh, also one thing, um, it breathing is a crucial aspect, but it also needs to be um, optimized in conjunction with your environment. So if you're not also getting in the right water, the right nutrients, adequate amounts of sunlight, reducing blue light exposure as much as possible, if you're not doing all of those other basic things that we've been talking about for many episodes now, you're also leaving your health on the table as well. So you need to be doing this as well as practicing those other methods as well. And yeah, Joshin, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think like you just said, if you guys go back to our recent podcast as well, be able to like utilize those main things like sunlight, water and magnetism, and that will overall help with breathing. I mean, if you can focus on breathing it will help your overall body system, and you'll be able to change as soon as possible. It only takes just one step, and we're here to guide you. So, and we're learning as well. See, like we didn't make it to the 40 seconds of breathing. That's something that was shown to us, by just practicing and seeing that we need to fix that and improve in the future. So we're just going along with you with this journey. It's not just you guys; it's us as well.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, keep with us on this journey so we can learn together and be as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you guys for joining with us on this Monday's episode. Just a heads up, we will be changing our days to Sunday, just for Joshin and mine's personal schedule sake. Mondays has been a bit packed for us, so we're gonna switch to Sundays at 7 o'clock for the lives. So we will see you then. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for
See you
joining
Sunday,
with us
guys.
today. And see you Sunday.